Hello, everybody. We are starting very soon. Let's check if everything is according to the plan. I should see myself on the other screen in a few moments. Hello. This is the good moment to share the link on Facebook or Instagram if you want to, because this is open for everybody and I'm very happy to see you all here. I can see we already have 13 people watching, which is great. Well, sorry, 19. That was quick. And we're going to make dark collage. I've got some examples of the dark collage projects, which are the inspiration, including colors from the Juicy set of the liquid acrylics. These are limited edition sets, and they are on the market now. You can get them in your favorite independent craft shops and online shops, and these are colors which is periwinkle, a shade of blue purple, lime green, and then raspberry. These are the inspiration colors. Of course, we're not going to use equal amount of each color on the project. They are more like inspiration with a bit of the contrast, but I think it's going to be fun. I'm going to explain how you can work on the darker surface and what kind of effects look the best on the darker surface. And we are going to create a composition similar to the compositions you can see here. So this is the plan. Let's look at the chat. Hello, everybody. Good to see you. Oh, we've got visitors from all over the world already. We've got UK, we've got United States, Canada, Greece, Germany, Denmark, Australia. Well, thank you, Jaylene, for coming here. And we've got probably a couple more showing up. So just to say my hellos before officially starting the project. It's great to have all this amazing community coming to the live streams. Hello, everybody. Welcome to my studio in East Galway, Ireland. It is 7 p.m. of my time. So it is time to start the live stream. This live is about the darker composition on the canvas or on the panel, including the liquid acrylic paints. I can see girls from Poland as well. Witam dziewczyny, bardzo mi miło. And because it is beginner friendly as well, don't be afraid to ask questions. If I don't see the question, keep asking, and if I still don't answer, you can always put it in bold or like capital letters, so I will finally see it. Because when I make a project, I usually look at the table and not always I'm able to see the chat. Also, a lot of my patrons, and some of them are really experienced artists, they may know the answer. So in the chat, you may see some of the good tips, ideas. Don't be afraid to interact and ask. Everybody is super friendly. I have to say, my fans are the best people ever. I have to say, all this crafting community around mixed media, they are usually just lovely people. So don't be afraid. If you're interested in anything that I'm doing, I will try to explain everything step by step. But just in case, if you are not sure, you can always ask and I will try to come back to that as well. The composition is not going to be huge. We're working on the smaller sizes. I have 2 sizes to choose from. And we are going to make composition which is layered, but we're going to mostly focus on creating the dimensional effect and making a nice composition without a lot of elements on it. As you can see, you can really make a decent looking project using just a bunch of elements if you organize them in the nice way and then paint them in a smart way to focus the attention in the right places. So I hope we are getting ready. Just to remind you, the products I'm using, these are of course Prima marketing products I made for Prima, but you may find a lot of similar alternatives on the market, and as long as they are good quality, you should get similar results. However, there are some products which are pretty unique, like heavy body gel, for example, the one I use for gluing, or clear gesso. We're not using that today, but there are some which are very unique. I will mention that they may be different to other brands and what is the difference. So I hope you are excited. I will show you what kind of elements I gathered because I was thinking on how to make the composition. However, as you can see, there are not tons of elements here. We are building the composition using techniques, including stenciling, including gluing, and then smart painting to make this even more dimensional. So let's have a look at the details. I try not to kick my rubbish bin. And let's have a look. Hello, hello, everyone. That was my ceiling for a moment. That is the table. That is my mat. And here we go. I make sure the screen of the other device is visible. So this is the Juicy set. So the liquid acrylic paints are fluid paints which are semi-transparent or even transparent, very highly pigmented, and they are not the best choice when it comes to working on the dark surface because of the transparency, but you will see what you can do to make them work if you have them at home and you would like to make a project on the darker surface. It's not hard at all. You just need to remember about one important step. So we've got these as our color inspiration. For those of you who don't know, in the late autumn, we released 4 packages of the limited edition colors. So this is a set called Juicy. And I made live stream in November, including one of the sets, in December, including one of the sets. Now I'm using this one. The last one is coming in February. So I try to give you inspiration based on these color palettes, because I know it may be like, why putting these colors together? Let's see what we can do with them. So first of all, we need to decide on the size. So it's good to know what you have on hand. I made some casts in the molds in the past. So, of course, the size of your composition also depends on what you have, what kind of elements you can find. Because proportion matters. So if you have 2 big elements and you have tiny surface, it's hard to fit them all. So it's probably better to have a look at the elements you'd like to use and then pick the best ones to see how they are going to fit. So I've got some larger frames. These are from multiple molds I made for Prima. So this is like grungy frames, Baroque frames, I'm not sure, mirror frames. I've got some MDF element, which is really nice. I was thinking to use it as one of the backdrops. I have different sizes of the gears. They are great for filling the gaps. So I've got a lot of elements in different sizes, so I can pick whatever I need. Then, of course, on the top of that, I've got some extra MDF elements to add something. Then I've got a box of the metal leftovers and elements. These are the leftovers from previous projects. They will be great to find some metal flowers or leaves to fill the gaps, but it's all about proportions. So these elements, which are big, they have to fit. I was looking for the focal point, so the main element of the composition. Here we had a dragonfly. Here it was a butterfly. I found different kind of butterflies and dragonflies in my molds. This is like one of the older Prima molds. This is one of my molds. I have some butterflies as well. The largest one, the largest one would be this bad boy. This is the biggest of my elements, Mehamoth. This surely wouldn't fit here. It will be a little bit too much. So these are the elements I found. Some extra chains. I've got some flowers maybe. So now I have to decide which canvas I'm going to use. So let's put these on the side and figure what kind of composition we are doing. I have that set and I'm stamped as to how to incorporate them into the darker projects. Well, maybe it will be a good live stream to help you. I pre-painted 2 panels. Like one is stretched canvas, this is wooden panel, and they are popular size. I think this is 15 by 15 centimeters. And yeah, 15 centimeters, that equals to 6 inches by 6 inches. So this is probably 8 inches by 8 inches, so it's 20 by 20 centimeters. Here we have a little bit more space. This is a little bit tighter. And when I was looking at the stencils to use, this smaller one worked really well with one of my little stencils, so that's why I made this composition like this. However, it kind of limits me when it comes to the size of my elements, so I was thinking I can try to make a composition a little bit bigger on the bigger canvas, and here I can use some different designs. I can use the flowers, or I can use the damask and go around, or if I want to repeat similar effect, I can make a combination of the bigger stenciling, drying it and adding some text on the sides as well using second stencil. So that is going to work really well. What is the gold paste used with the celestial stencil? I'm going to use the same paste today. This is icing paste, white gold, one of the older effect paste from Prima. We're going to use it today as well, so you will see it in action. And because of that, I think we are going to pick the elements fitting the bigger canvas. So let's say I will try to see how much space we've got. Like this is the bigger canvas, right? So this is similar. You can see I have to make a little bit smaller composition here. You can see more of the background, so you can put it a little bit to the side or exactly in the middle. So now is the time to figure out what is going to be your focal point and what are the skeleton parts of the composition, so the big elements. So for example, looking at my frames, this is really large one. This is a really large one. And I wanted to use this. So we have to see how they fit together. And, oh, the round one as well. I take this away so I can make some auditioning. I'm rewarding myself after working all day with permission to watch your project and work on the project myself. Oh, great! Pijesz wywar z muchomorów? Tak, tu mam. Specjalnie. So let's look how they sit, okay? The square, probably not the best. I was hoping to make a backdrop, kind of makes it a little bit too big. This is surely not working unless I will break it and then try to show part on the top and then the other part on the bottom. So you could make a trick and break it in half and then add it as an extra. That's an option. Let's see. I would say the square is not a good choice. Or we can use the round one, which fits nicely. So that will give me some really strong frame in the middle. And this way we could go with the same idea, like, look at me, I'm here, and building circles around it or any other composition. The other option is to move it a little bit to the side as well and then add a little bit extra flow. But on the square canvas, it's really tempting to put it in the middle. So now quick decision. If I will break it, it's going to basically go from edge to edge. So like this, and then that part is, it's going to take most of the space. So maybe let's take a smaller one so we can fit more of the leaves and flowers and gears. Okay, so we have the winner. Now, the focal point, so the main element of the composition. Again, we can make some auditioning. I really hope the dragonfly is going to work because it is really nice. And it will be really a gothic project because of the dark background, I think. So this is good size. This feels a little bit too small here. That would be okay as well. This butterfly would be okay, although it's missing a part. What a shame. Maybe a little bit too small. Right, so in this case, when I'm picking the biggest elements, I'm kind of trying to figure out what is the best one, like what I like the most. Like I really like the dragonfly. So it is fitting nicely. Right, I have these guys here. I'm not really thinking about the little elements. I'm only thinking about the big ones. There's a big empty space here, so you can fill it with some smaller details to fill it nicely. Like there will be a bit of a backdrop for this dragonfly, like mechanical composition. This is a little bit too big. Yeah, I would have to break it, but it would be nice. Oh, but this one fits. So that's better. Let's see if there's anything else. Pocket watch would be probably too much. Smaller gears, some flowers, these guys. If we want to start the composition, these elements may be helpful, or we can use some frames as well. So because we have round elements, we can continue with the round layers and add some extras to the whole thing. So I'm going to keep them on the side. Yeah, basically we have a plan. So before sticking anything here, I need to work on the textures. I have like a pre-selection of my elements. So let's see what we can do on the top of the canvas. This is all painted with the heavy black gesso. It is ready for the next step. It will be nice to repeat the idea of the round elements. Because we have round frame, it will be nice to kind of replicate this concept. So we are going to use combination of this stencil, and then we're going to add some text on the sides. So it's going to fit, I guess, rather nicely. It's going to be a bit messy. It's going to look a bit grungy, which is great. Now, I put this very precious paste somewhere on the side. Yeah, here it is. So now we can start with adding the effects. Okay. Oh, hello, Carla. Good to see you. Okay, so icing paste is gel-based paste that has a lot of metallic mica in it. This is white gold color, so I'm going to have like neutral silver gold background. It's delicate gold, not super shiny gold. And you don't have to use a lot because the stencils are already pretty thick. So it's going to give you good results. So I'm basically pushing the paste through the stencil so we can get these nice circles and planets and text. This dries quickly, so after finishing, I'm going to run to the sink and put it in the sink when it is drying before adding the text on the sides. Okay, so I'm trying to take everything off, all of the excess. I missed one planet, sorry. Okay. Very, very cool. Now, quick run to the sink. This paste dries quickly, so I don't like to wait. This will dry in a moment when you use the heat gun, but even if you let it dry naturally, it's going to be dry in a few minutes. So I will wait, and then I can add a little bit of extra text on the side to make it look similar to the design we had here, where we had text outside of the circle. So if you don't have the right size of the stencil, you can always be creative. Just remember to wait until one effect is dry and then going to the second one, so you're not going to make smudges. It's already fun. And of course, we're not going to see the sun because the composition will be here, but we will see the circles. It feels almost dry already. Just a moment. So this was white gold icing paste. Come on. Oh. There were many colors in that range. Rose gold, silver, white gold. There was colors of green, blue, red. They're clear, multiple colors. This paste is very smooth, so it works even with the fine details. You can see how these really tiny elements, they are nicely visible. So now let's try to replicate the effect of the old book. And I'm going to add extra text here on the sides. I've never done it before, so we will see what happens. In the worst case, it's going to be something I can always cover with the black gesso if I don't like it. But that should work. It's like the page from the encyclopedia. No, I love it. Very nice. And then we can do similar thing on the other side. You don't use a lot of the paste to get effects like that. In general, if the stencil has detailed design, not a lot of paste goes through it. Not too bad at all. Okay, so this is drying. This goes to the sink. And my palette silicone knife goes to the water. I close the jar because we're not using this paste anymore. Now we can start making the composition. So we will see circles, we will see the text, and in the middle, there will be our focal point with the dragonfly. So a closer look. Looks like it was intended to be. So layering stencil is a very good idea. Just it's good to remember about taking your time for drying. White gold, yes. It was white gold, showing you again. Oh, come on. Yeah, looks convincing, and we're going to have this strong element drawing our attention in the middle. So it's going to be something similar to the composition I was showing you here. Kind of already with the shape and the design drawing attention on the focal point. But you don't have to do it this way, just to show you less defined composition. Here, that was just a regular stencil with like wallpaper pattern, and the composition looks really good. So whatever you have on hand. Quick drying. So now on the top of this, here it's going to be the main composition. I can start sticking the elements. And now we have to decide how much of the stenciling we want to see, how much we want to cover. Like, of course, some part is going to be covered, right? We are going to have this on the top, but it looks really cool when you think about it. I will just remove the tray, it's too big. So now I'm going to stick these two elements, and then I will start adding elements around it. So I'm going to use heavy body gel. This is a transparent gel medium, very sticky, very thick kind of a gel that you can use instead of your glue for the heavy elements on the composition. It's going to keep them in place even when it is still wet. And you just put it there and then you press it, like putting a tile on the wall. So you can see it stays in place. We will clean it up later, but even if you forget about cleaning the excess, remember this will turn transparent. Hello, Natalie. Good to see you. So I'm not putting that like regular glue. I'm just putting blobs on the back of the elements, like here. Come on, don't do that. And then I'm sticking that in the right position. When you have these excess showing, you just need to take the wet brush and pick it up. Here, clean already, so I'm going to pick it up. Okay, and then with the wet brush, you kind of take it up. Whatever is really annoying. It doesn't have to be perfect. Later on, it will be painted anyway. You can see just because of the stencil and the frame in the middle, the composition looks already pretty striking and cool. Even if you don't add a lot of elements around it, this dense composition and these circles, they really do the job. So you don't have to all put tons of elements. Sometimes it's just a smart choice of the pattern in the background. Good. Now I had this idea to put the element inside. I think that was it. So again, I put the blobs of the gel and I will stick the gear on the top. This is the moment when you want maybe to take your heat gun and dry it a little bit so it sticks better. Like I can see this is crooked for some reason. Oh, now it's better. It was not fully flat on the background. Now it's sticking much better. Okay, so we have this. Very cool looking. I hope I picked all the gel I wanted to pick. Now, the focal point is the dragonfly, right? So when you put it in the right position, it's good to remember where the wings go. You don't want to put too much in there because it may be simply covered by the wings. So it's better to find the positions where there will be nothing. So maybe here and here instead, or here and here. This way you're going to see all of the elements. Of course, there's nothing wrong when it looks like that as well. But if you want to use minimum elements and get the maximum effect, it's much better if they're going to be visible. So the parts that are not going to be covered with the biggest part. So you can see this dragonfly also has a space here, so we can put some cool embellishment on the top. I'm not sticking it yet because it's easier to paint when it's not stuck. So I will use it just to find the right position of the elements. And in the meantime, I can also decorate the top of the dragonfly with some cool embellishments. This is all very big. How about you? Oh, okay. This one fits nicely. Then we can combine it with like extra details. So I will stick it. So far we worked on the ground, and now I'm picking the best elements to go together with the dragonfly. So again, if you'd like to get rid of the gel, it's easier just to clean it up with the brush. Okay. Let's find something nice to finish that on the top. Maybe a star, because this is about stars and solar system. I have got some stars here. So let's stick it. So this will sit on the side. I'm going to stick using the same heavy body gel. I will dry it with the heat gun, and this is going to be the focal point here. So this is going to dry, and then later on we will just stick the whole thing on the top. So now we can just organize and decide how to use the empty spaces. Like, we can try to add some extra details, and even if they feel too big, MDF is easy to break, right? Or you can use some kind of scissors as well. So this way you can add extra elements easily, matching the composition you have on your mind. So I will put this on the side to dry, just making sure it's sticking. And here we will go with some cool details. Yeah, this will be perfect. Good start. So let's dry it. Have you got any questions so far? You can see I'm thinking on balancing and making the composition work. Ow. I put the dragonfly on the side. It's drying, so the extra gear element is going to stick. Now we stick these elements. So these are like the bones of the composition. Now I can start adding smaller elements to fill it nicely. So we have this. And then from the same package, like a half of the gear going on the other side. Different sizes, so goes together nicely. Now we can think about adding some elements to it. I've got some flower cast from the Prima mold. I've got some extra insects. The company of the MDF, just a second, I think it's Artistico. Let me check. Yes, Artistico. Artistico.sklep.pl. Come on, let's focus. That was it's in Poland. This is the brand of one of my design team members, Kasia Salmanowicz. She's very talented, and these elements, she just has great selection. This MDF plate, I think, also was from the same brand. I didn't have the packaging for it, but it looked like it is Artistico. So will you cover these elements with something black? Yes, I will be painting that black in a moment. Now we are going to add the elements and layers to create a little bit of the dimension. So if you compare it to this project, we have the back parts. Now we are going to add some leaves, smaller flowers, some gears to make it more interesting. Okay, so I've got some gears. I even have some chains, but they seem to be not really fitting in this composition because we don't have too much space. These are too big, so goodbye. You're looking for smaller elements now. Let's put the dragonfly for a moment to see how it's all going to fit. If you're not sure how to do it, you can always put one element on one side and then put it together with the element on the other side. And then this way you're going to have some kind of a balance. Maybe something even smaller. It's probably the same size. It's rather steampunky, but we can also add some floral parts. So if you'd like to add some flowers, they will be probably sitting nicely together with your gears. Remember, if you have metal flowers, you can bend them. I'm just trying to figure the best combination of the elements. I really like the gear in this position, so we'll try to put it together with the flower. What is the other flower I have? I have this one. Rather heavy. And I've got... this is lighter. That feels nicer, I think. Okay. We can also put other flower on the other side. So we kind of repeat the same concept. If you feel like there should be an even number of the elements, because some people are really following the strict rule, it has to be an even number, you can try to find a way to replace maybe one gear with another flower, right? So this may work for you instead. So we have 3 gears and 3 flowers. But in clusters, the uneven number is not that ultra strict rule, I think. It's just general balance feeling to it. You can see what I'm trying to do. If it's not better to cover these elements with something black before gluing them, maybe if you know what you are doing. I never really know exactly what I'm going to use, so I would paint multiple elements black and then I would not use them. So if you are planning carefully, you can, but for me, painting that on the project is equally easy. So up to personal preferences. It requires a little bit more planning when you would like to paint it up front. I'm not good at planning. I'm planning for you now, but if I work for myself, I don't really do that. Yeah, that feels kind of nice. I can finish with some leaves and that's going to work. Here you can see I used 3 flowers and I used 2 gears. Here we have 4 gears and 2 flowers. Maybe I should add something because it's not good uneven number. Oh no. I have to think. Well, 3 and 2 and that's 5. You can do less if you want to. So now I'm going to stick these elements in those parts. And again, I use the big blob and I press it. Big blob of the gel medium, heavy body gel, and I press it. Once it is glued nicely, they're not going to move, so I don't have to worry about painting them black. Like this part is already safe. So we have the medium sizes in. Now we can think about finishing touches. Yeah, 2 flowers enough. I believe it. Some people are very strict about, oh, there has to be more and so on, but there's not enough space here anyway. And we can always add some little bits and pieces. Nobody's going to control how many elements you are really using in your project. It's really the matter of the general balance and general visual effect. Like, you want to see details. You don't really want to count. Do you have enough of the gears or enough of the flowers or something? I'm really tempted to use these chipboard stars because they kind of go with the concept of the stencil. And I have them here in different sizes. So maybe adding these as well. A rather cool and nice element. I don't know who made these, but they are nice. I think it is not Artistico. I think it's a brand from the UK. Samantha something, but I may be wrong. If you have big flat, sorry, Mrs. Dragonfly, sorry. If you have big flat element, you feel this is not doing the job, you can always layer something on the top again. So it's going to work in the multi-layered version. You should know, Anna, that Pebbles, my cat, is watching you. And she keeps smacking your hands. That's cute. Well, I'm glad I'm entertainment. So that's the moment when I'm trying to find the best smaller details to fit in. Again, if you are not sure what you are doing, put the focal point in, see how much space you've got. Maybe I would be able to add a leaf or something. I have leaves like here, maybe. Oops. Be nice to add the leaf together with the flower. So let's add the leaf on the top and the leaf on the bottom. Again, I'm not sticking the whole leaf. I'm just putting a blob in one spot, sorry. And then I'm putting that in between the layers. And then sticking all these elements to each other. So that's kind of like extending the composition from corner to corner even more. If you like nice, delicate finishes on the outside of the collage leaves or some small elements, they are your best friends. Leaves are really good for adding the finishing touches. Pressing down everything, cleaning the excess. We have this so far. Of course, we have to ignore the colors because the colors are not going to be the same. But we can just add little bits and pieces later on. Like we can even feel like, let's add some more of the mechanical stuff somewhere. Let's see what I've got. Is there anything to jump on me and give me more inspiration? It's not supposed to be complicated, so I should not put too much. Hello, Lorena. Hello, Terfunken. Good to see you. Yes, Samantha K. Thank you, Sue. Yes, I'm almost sure these stars are from Samantha K. So, ooh, okay, this is tempting. It's fitting beautifully on the top of that. So we can add the extra detail on this frame. It sits just perfectly on the top. I can find a little pebble or a little gear. No, not the gear, the screw head, but also a gear that will go on the top of a gear. Yeah, these are from the watchmaker. So they're really tiny. Okay, I can always add some stars, pebbles later on. Let's dry it and get ready for painting. Thank you very much. So, we have the composition more or less the way we want it. We can see the cluster on the bottom, the cluster on the top. We've got really strong frame in the middle. Now we're going to prime it with the black gesso, so everything is going to be ready for the next step. Let's dry it first. If you have any questions, this is the good moment because I have to dry for like 3 minutes. I'm going to dry from different angles to get to all of the gel blobs. Hello, Anita. Good to see you. We are happy you're here with us. Don't be shy. Hello, Anastasia. Oh, it's good to see you. Cats are funny. They are really funny. My cats and my dogs, they're having a nap now, and let's hope it's going to stay like that. So they're not going to run around the table. I'm drying from different angles, so like the gel is going to dry a little bit better. This gel is designed to dry naturally or with the heat gun, heavy body gel from Art Basics. This is thicker and more sticky than usual gel mediums on the market. It has kind of funny feeling to it. It's like pudding or like creme brulee, but this is the way it's supposed to be. So we removed most of the water out of the product, and we put a lot of adhesive in it. So it is great for dimensional collage gluing. You can see I'm doing a bit of pressing down the elements, because sometimes when you move elements around, they are a little bit lifted, elevated, and then it's harder for them to stick. So I try to make sure everything sticks nicely. Yeah, the cats are hard to control. I'm checking with my fingers from time to time. You can see the gel here. I don't remember the name, but I think Sue may be right. This was released maybe 1 year, 2 years ago. So this is not a new mold, and it has 2 different dragonflies on there. I think it's maybe this one and this one on the same mold. Maybe. But I'm sure it's more than just one. This one for sure. And This is what I used. I used the fast casting resin, so it is solid like plastic or element. So as you can see, it doesn't take long to really dry it. If you don't like drying with the heat gun or hair dryer, you can just let it dry naturally in the dry, warm weather. It will be 15 minutes and ready to paint. In Irish weather, probably much longer. There was a dragonfly and butterfly. Okay, thank you, Anita. I have it somewhere, but I casted this element very long time ago. So maybe I will ask my assistant to find it. Kocor, zobacz tam w szufladzie. Ciemno-szara albo taki mold z taką ważką. Nie mój szary, tylko ciemny szary. We'll see, maybe he's going to find it. Yes, I prefer heat guns because it takes too long for me. But it's not a big deal. Like, you can drink your tea with one hand or coffee and you can dry. Or leave it in the warm place somewhere and have a little break. Oh, I think we have it. Yes. So this is the mold, redesigned with Prima. You can see there's a large butterfly, there are some gears, and then there is this large dragonfly. So this was from the line for the home decor, so they are big. Right, so you have the elements like gears, and you have this one. I'm not sure if I have this somewhere. Nope. I'm sorry, but this is the mold. So I'm still not sticking this. It will be easier to paint everything when this is not stuck on the top. I give it a moment to cool down, and now I will be priming that with the black gesso. So this composition is really based on the idea like the circles are focusing the attention in the middle. So it is very strong, very focusing the attention, very striking composition. So you will see this dragonfly for sure. This is not going to be missed, but it is really nice, like a medallion or some kind of artifact, or maybe something inspired by Zodiac. Why not? Not every composition has to be visual, triangle, and things like that. So, black gesso. It's going to be our primer, so everything will stick nicer to it, but also it will remove the colors we don't need, because, of course, everything here is not what we want. We want to use some of these paints, and painting directly with the acrylic paints, it may be problematic because they are not matte and not covering enough to go over elements here. Probably they will be able to paint the resin without a problem, but MDF or the dark metal, it will be hard. On the other hand, black is going to be natural choice here, because we don't want to see any of the layers. I'm going to put black, and then I'm going to work with the colors on the top. Okay, so I take the gesso and I just go on the top of everything. Gesso dries really quickly, so you don't have to wait for a long time for this to be ready. If you're going to miss a tiny spot, also nobody will see, because we will put a lot of layers on the top. But try to be more or less precise. So trying to cover all the MDF and all of the metal and all of the resin. So it goes rather quickly. It's good to look from different angles as well, because you will always discover a spot you missed. It's like a rule. There's always a spot you missed. And don't worry if you go a little bit on the background. We are going to have like a splash of color around the composition anyway. So a little bit of the black gesso on the top of your stenciling is not making any harm. I start with the bigger brush. You can see this is like 1/2 inch brush. And if I have hard time reaching something, I'm just going to take a smaller brush in a moment. It's already much better. If you are not sure if your elements are dry, just give them a little bit extra time. It's better to just take your time instead of rushing with it. Okay, changing to the smaller brush. So I can reach the parts that are visible. And then I will take my heat gun and dry everything quickly. Once gesso is matte, it means it is permanent and ready to go. Gesso is a primer, so it helps to stick whatever you're planning to put on the top. So if you want to stick some elements and the surface seems to be stubborn and they chip off, just use gesso before. Or if you have paints and you would like to let them cover nicely, use the gesso. The same before the waxes. Gesso is your really good friend in mixed media. Quick drying. Once it is drying, we can do the same thing to the dragonfly. It doesn't have to be perfect, it's just enough if it's touched by the black gesso. So lazy drying, multitasking. Yes, it is satisfying. I totally agree. And using black gesso is something like meditative. I really like it. The effects are stunning. That's why I like these heat guns with the stand, because you can just make them stand and do something else. You can see it really dries quickly. It's important to dry it before we are going to put the next thing, because we don't want the colors to blend. We want them to be really visible without any grace. We just want to have nice layer on layer. So it's important to dry your gesso first. It was a big blob. So this is our plan. We've got these three colors to use. We've got periwinkle, we've got lime green and raspberry. And of course, using all of them equally would be a little bit too much. So it's good to pick one or two, let's say two to be the main ones. And then the third one we're going to include as an accent. I think we can go for the color palette. It will be combination of these two. I know it looks crazy, but if you think about it, this is the project I made using a very similar color palette. This was the lime green. You can see it in here, especially on the dragonfly. There was the lime green, and I used coral, which is a cousin of raspberry. This is coral, and here is raspberry. So we can start with that and then use tiny bits of periwinkle on the accents, on the others, to add a little bit of the touches. So how to apply transparent paints on the top of the canvas so they are visible. Because it may not work. It may not work just directly from the bottle. They probably will disappear because they are transparent paints. So what you can do is, in fact, dry brush a little bit of the white gesso or white paint first. So you will keep your dark shadows, but the tops will be lighter and the color will show on the top easily. Very simple thing to do. It's difficult to get the balance of shadows just right. Well, it's good to start with good shadows and then to add to it, I think. So try this trick I'm doing now and see if it's going to work for you. I'm going to use these two first, but before anything else, I'm going to brush a little bit of the white paint on the top. You can use white gesso. This is impasto paint, which is matte, sticky white paint. It's just like gesso, but it's a little bit more of the white color in there, more pigment. And then on the white surface, these colors will be more vibrant. So if you want to use transparent paints, no matter if it's liquid acrylic or this is metallic or any other color that you know it's transparent, you can give it a white coat first. So you have your shadows and then your lights. The white color is going to help these colors to be truly visible. So a bit of dry brushing. Yes, this is the redesign with Prima mold that looks like this. If you scroll the chat a little bit higher up, Dria, one of the ladies gave the name. I think it was something about insects, insecta. It's older mold from redesign with Prima. Thank you, Sue. So what I'm doing now, I'm taking the paint on the dry brush and I'll be removing the excess on the paper towel, and I'm just giving a top of the white color on the top. The coat of the white color on the top, sorry. And dry brushing is about taking your time and putting layers. So this is just going to help our lime green or raspberry more visible. Every time when I fill the brush, I remove the excess on the paper towel, and then I go again. And I try to stick it mostly to the embellishments, right? I don't go too much on the outside of the composition. So the shadows stay black, but the tops are white. I'm not going too deep. I'm just trying to smear it on the top of embellishments. Makes sense, I hope? If the colors are covering, like maybe you're using waxes or you're using covering paints, you don't have to put coat of the white color because they are covering and opaque enough. But a lot of paints are transparent, and liquid acrylics formula is transparent paint, so they wouldn't be visible. But this makes them work. And this is the 2-minute trick. Not a problem at all to do it. And this is why it was important to make sure the black gesso was dry. Because if it was not dry, my brush would be dirty in black gesso now. Thank you. Right? You can do it as many times you like, of course, but it doesn't have to be super white. It's more like, okay, let's give it a little bit of the white tone. And if you want to make it more white, instead of using a lot of paint, you put a lot of layers. So layer by layer, bit by bit, not like one big portion. This is not going to work as a dry brush. You're just doing layer by layer. Some people, if they are not very sure what they are doing, you can use the makeup brush. It's going to help. It's very hard to make a blob with this. So that's also a great trick. So now we dry it. Should be enough. We do the same thing to the dragonfly. I forgot about the dragonfly. Oh, poor thing. I'm sorry. Oh, I'm so sorry. Poor thing. Forgotten. Well, I have to be careful because one element is still moving here, so it was apparently not enough gel under the gear, but I put it on the side to dry even more. Come on, stick. Don't stick to my fingers, stick to the, yeah. So, I'm happy you enjoy it, Holly. Okay, so we have this, right? Now we want to get like this effect. We want to have like a cloud of color, and then on the top of that we would like to have some accents, some elements. So let's try using lime green and raspberry together. Of course, not one on the top of another. We're going to do one next to another. So we have some parts which are more lime green and some parts which are more like raspberry. So that should give us like vibrant color palette like this, right? We can go in a similar idea. So most of the color will be raspberry, but then the dragonfly will be more green. So it's going to, sorry, going to be visible. So I'm taking more of the raspberry and just a bit of the lime green. Is it dry? Yes. You can use your sprayer if you want the paints to go around a little bit more. It doesn't have to be perfect. So you just apply it kind of carelessly with your brush. And now on the top of the white, they are going to be visible. You can make them float a little bit. It's like a first layer. You're going to have on your project. It doesn't have to be everywhere. We're going to add some green as well. But you can see I'm doing that carelessly. You could also mix the paint in the sprayer like I was showing in the previous live streams with liquid acrylics. But you can also do it with the brush and then dab and spray. That's a good start. Let's dry and add a little bit more. Every layer you dry is going to be permanent, so you don't have to worry that something is going to disappear. So drying the layers make them permanent and everything is going to stay as it is. So this is also the safe way of putting the colors together. Okay, I want more of the raspberry in some parts, so I'm going a little bit more. With this color. You can see on the black it's not doing much, but on the white it's really nice and vibrant. That is a good start. Before putting the lime green, I need to dry it because we don't want this green and pink to mix with each other. That will be kind of unfortunate color combination. We just want them to be neighbors. So neighbors, they need to be dry before anything else. Lorena, it was white gold as icing paste. Any classes coming to Texas this year? I think yes. I need to speak with Cynthia from Big Mouth Scrappers. She was supposed to contact me, but I think she just got back from the cruise, so she may be super busy. Do you dry brush when you paint with the liquid paint as well? Sometimes it all depends how opaque and matte the paint is. If it's really covering paint, you don't really need to dry brush white first. But if it's transparent, it's a good idea. Sometimes it drips, so you can pick it up. Would be a substitute for the white gold paste. If you have gel medium, for example, 3D gloss gel or 3D matte gel, and you have some mica powders, you can put the mica powders in your favorite colors inside of the gel. That is going to work really nicely. You can do gold embossing with a lot of stamping if you do these techniques. hot embossing also is going to do this kind of dimensional effect. I would not put paint because the paint is going to bleed. So it has to be something thick. Yes, that's the water I'm spraying. It doesn't look like water because the bottle is so dirty. I will bring fresh water in it, to be honest, because we need more. It is water. Okay, so now we can say the raspberry is probably dry. So now we can try to add touches of the second color, so the lime green, to give it a bit of a kick. So you can see it's going to be something else, a little bit more like, I don't know, like another color of like juice. But it's kind of giving this really cool vibe, almost like something coming from the night sky, maybe some kind of constellations and everything. So you can see I'm putting that next to each other, not on the top of each other. And the colors, they are going to change as well, because now it's like vibrant green. But later on, we're going to put some touches of the gold on the whole thing, and it's going to help it marry it all together. So we have that, and if you feel you have too much of something, you can always add more of the second color. I think I need a little bit more here. And pick it up a little bit here. As long as the paints are wet, you can pick them up with the paper towel. Drying is probably the moment when you can just sip your tea or coffee and think about life. For me, it's a good moment to answer the questions. And adding a little bit more of the color here and there. Really, really cool. Yes, they are adventurous colors, I agree, but we are going to pull them together using metallics on the top. So this is not the end. Pick up the water. It's like, don't be afraid. One of the girls from Poland, she thinks she's afraid of the colors that are so adventurous together. But if you have situation like that, if you have too many colors or maybe too racy colors, you can pull them together by adding another color on the top in a delicate way. So you're going to see how this works. You can see a bit of the solution here, and you also will see it here. They are really going to work because they are touched on the top with the same color to pull it together. So don't be afraid. And just dry everything. And now I'm going to paint the dragonfly. The dragonfly needs to be mostly lime green, because it's going to sit on the top here. We want it to be really visible. So we may give it a touch of periwinkle as well. So this is how our periwinkle is going to show up. Because this is juicy set, so I'm supposed to use a little bit of everything. Yeah, crazy combination, but amazing also. Let's give it, you know, dragonflies, they have very vibrant colors in nature. They are yellow or green or blue, and in reality they are beautifully colored, so we can use it as our inspiration as well. Let's give it a bit of water. All right, now a bit of periwinkle to change it a little bit. I'm adding that on the wings, closer to the body. It's wet in wet, so they're blending now, but I'm going to dry it and I'm going to do a little bit more of this effect on the top. So you can see when you blend them together, they will have more like a grayish tone. And then I'm going to do more. So now when it is drying, you can think, okay, what kind of color is going to help this be visible? I can brush a little bit of gold on everything and it's going to be working with the background, but to be honest, it's going to turn it very yellow. A little bit safer choice is to brush a little bit of the white or silver and then add touches of the gold or on the top to be a little bit more delicate. So if you don't know what to do, it's always good to go with the primary metallic on the top. Yes, it was white resin. The tail was hot. Let's do a little bit more of the periwinkle here and there. Some water. So the water makes the color transition softer, as you can probably see. You can always add extra touches on the top later on as well, when the waxes will be on the top. You can use waxes or metallic paints to add metallic touches. I will have to add a little bit of this periwinkle somewhere here as well, because otherwise it will make no sense. But so far everything comes together, and the challenge was to use these 3 colors from the set, so we're getting there. So you can imagine, instead of raspberry, I could put blue and green together as a background. It will also work really well, but I want it to be really adventurous. Hello, Vasilis. You can see when the resin gets hot, some of the elements are getting bendy, so be careful. Okay, let's see what we have so far. It's colorful, not shockingly great, but it's a good start. Now we are going to do a little bit of the dry brushing. So the technique that is going to pull it all together. And the safe colors I really like to use is like white pearl, white gold, or maybe silver. These are the colors that are going to be always like safe. I want to put some sparks paints on the top in gold and this is probably unicorn's hair. So it's going to make it more yellow. So now I'm going to give a coat of the silver color on the top And that is going to highlight the details. So all of these are going to have a little bit of the silver touches. Co zostało skradzione? Oh, well, there was a little moth and now it doesn't have a bomb because somebody ate it. I hope it's not super poisonous. So I take a little bit of the old silver wax. You can do similar technique with the metallic paint, but wax is quick and simple solution. You can do it with your finger or you can do it with your brush. Like if you do it with your finger, pick up a little bit on your finger so it's not too much, and then you come and you do the rubbing. Right, so this way you can't really push the finger too far deep. So you're just touching the edges and tops. You can see how the composition changes quickly. If you can't reach something, you can always come and finish that with the brush. Exactly, you can bend the elements intentionally, and then when it is well, cool again, it kind of keeps the shape the way it should. So now for the petals, I'm just going to go with the brush. So you can see, in case if you were too enthusiastic with some colors, this kind of is a solution. They are there, but they are like part of the background. Yeah, it tones them down, but they are still there. Now, the same story here. We have to do the same thing with the dragonfly. And now we can work on making sure everything will be visible the way we want. So I can stick the dragonfly now and start painting intentionally to make it more visible. So you should not paint too far on the waxes because they are not great surface, but you can add some touches. So we have a great start. Now we have to make it work. So let's stick the dragonfly and work on the balance, on the gold, on the touches. Maybe we can add a little bit of the vintage color as well. Oh, there's wrong spot for the gel. My fingers, yeah, they are something else. So we have a good start. Let's dry it and think. I think I'm going to start with a bit of the gold, especially on the dragonfly, and then a little bit on the outside. So it's going to pull the stenciling and the composition in the middle together. And then we can add some extra colorful touches. Like you can see here, I was using quite a lot of sparkle on the top of the dragonfly, and I made some splatters, and then I add some extra touches with the darker brown. cooling down. This paint is super shiny. It has a lot of the mica in it, and this mica is very vibrant, very shiny. So I'm going to water it down and use it like a glaze. I take a bit of the Sparks Dragon's Eye paint, and now I'm going to put it first on the dragonfly and then maybe on my petals. And then we will see, do we need anything more? We want the dragonfly to be really shiny and corresponding with the background, the stenciling. So oops, I have a lot of water here, but after drying you will see the mostly just the shimmer. I almost killed completely the periwinkle. I have to add it again in a moment. It's okay. So this is another color that is pulling it together. So this is going to be like a shiny factor. Let's dry it. I'm happy you like the colors. I like them too. But they're going to be really fun to play with. You can see how shiny this paint is. Really making the beautiful effects. We're going to use more of it, but now it was mostly to get that in the right places. We can do a little bit on the background as well. I pick up the water. Let's look inside of this flower. How amazing it is. So what I think now, I'm missing a little bit of the raspberry, so I'm going to apply it again. And I would like to add some brown touches to make some parts darker, like a vintage color. This is dirty, so let's put new color in. Now we have to just add the finishing look. So it's the moment when you have to really go back and forth until you're happy with the colors you have. You can maybe saturate some parts a little bit more, right? Now you see the whole thing together, so you can add more of the color here and there. And when you're painting on the top of the wax is resisting, so it's not going to be overpowering. There's no way for that. I'm going to add more of the raspberry. So most of the green is happening on the dragonfly. A little bit on the flowers as well, but mostly on the dragonfly. Yes, they are very spring colors. I totally agree. I'm touching a little bit the edges of the wings with the same raspberry color. If you kill too much of the wax or something, you can always come back to it. Now it's like going back and forth until you're happy with what you have. I dry my background and I'm going to add another cool thing that may help to pull it together. When you have adventurous color palette, you can add splatters. So I'm going to do that with raspberry and then with maybe with lime green, to be honest, not with raspberry. Let's do that. So splatters in lime green and with gold. Splatters are done better if the paint is fluid, really fluid. So I'm going to add some water. I covered, I don't have to even cover anything. And then I'm adding the first layer of the splatters in the background. I still need to add a tiny bit of periwinkle, so I have to add it to my dragonfly somehow. You can see how quickly and easy the things are working together. Let's dry it. Splatters are easier when you hit one brush with another. I think this is the easiest way to do them. Then the second thing is the paint has to be fluid, coming off the brush easily. Let's see what happens if I'm going to bring back the periwinkle a little bit on the dragonfly wings. I'm starting closer to the body. I'm taking that to the outside. A little bit more of the green. I do that with the wet brush, so it's easier to blend one color with another. Okay. Layer by layer. Again, a little bit too much, but it's okay. We tone it down with the gold. Wow. Pretty cool. I really like these wings. I'm adding a little bit more here. So you can see one color is the main, the second is like the color that is going to give us like interest, and the third one is just a delicate accent. And if you don't like something, you can always cover that with something else, and there's no problem at all. Nobody's going to judge you. So now that means we need to add a bit of periwinkle splatter as well in the background. So the same way as with the lime green, I water it down. And I add a little bit of that color on the outside. So even with colors that are not obvious, easy combinations, you can do a lot of fun compositions, sorry, if you use them in a smart way, not really using equal amount, using a little bit less of something. Let's dry it. So it's almost there. I can only do one thing to make the dragonfly pop a little bit more, and that is adding a little bit more of the shadow around the dragonfly, because now it sits on a rather colorful background. So if you would like to make it even more 3D, you can take some dark paint, for example black or brown, and add a little bit of the shadow around it again. I'm happy you like it. It is inspired by the dragonfly for sure. So now you can see there's just a trace of the periwinkle color. I'm just going to push it even deeper so it's not so visible. It's a trace of periwinkle, but we have it. It's the most visible on the dragonfly, of course. Then you have a tiny bit of it on the background, so it kind of pulls together. So about the shadow, you can see what happened here. I wanted to have the dragonfly to be dimensional, so I made sure this gear here was darker, right? So if you feel that something is not dimensional enough, you can always use darker color around the element, around the frame, to make it more 3D. So it requires just a tiny bit of extra color in the selected part. So let's say the brown to finish that. Where's the brown? I had the bottle of brown here. Yeah. Burnt sienna, which is like everybody's favorite brown from liquid acrylics. So I'm going to add this vintage neutral brown in there to kind of like, oh, not on the wings, kind of like create a darker background so the dragonfly may shine a little bit more. And now don't worry, it is so even because guess what? We will spray and it's going to get more natural looking. And if you paint too much, for example, on the dragonfly, you can pick it up when it's still wet, or you can add a tiny bit of the silver wax in a moment or so. You can also add a little bit of extra inside of the gears if there's too light, or somewhere in there to make the shadows more dramatic. But don't forget to water it down, so kind of makes the whole thing not so messy. It's more like natural blending in. So, oh, I even have it on the dragonfly now. This was not exactly my plan, but whatever. Yep. I'm trying to push it in the parts that could be a little bit darker because they are deeper in. So if you, oh, sorry, somebody kicked the tripod. So I'm pushing that inside of the frame and so on and so on. Somewhere in there. After drying, we will see do we need more or not. The shadowing, it's done just even this way easily. Once it is waxed or painted with metallic paint, it kind of resists anyway. So this kind of technique is rather safe to do. You can see it's like instant shadow and vintage effect. So you can see the whole transformation from very juicy, very vibrant. Now we are toning it down, adding extra details, elements, and so on and so on. So you can transform your project many ways if you want to. It's really up to you. It's just good to know what different things do for you. So if you are more into the vintage, you can go more vintage. If you are going into like more vibrant, you don't have to add the brown or the shadow. Personal choices. Okay, so we have this. You can see the dragonfly shape is more visible now because the shape, basically everything around dragonfly is darker. I'm going to clean it up a little bit with the tiny bits of the silver. For example, the legs, right? Or the edges here. You can always add extra wax on the top. So this dragonfly is even more visible. or the gears. I usually clean up in the very end with a tiny bit of the wax because there are splatters, there are these like messy parts, and some of the little details may be lost. So this is like a final definition, showing the shapes again. Because when we paint with so many layers, something may be lost. But again, personal choice. What you feel is your cup of tea. You may be more into this or more into that. I think I showed you everything you can do. Like really, I was trying to include all of the possible options and steps, and to show you that you can use really challenging and vibrant colors together to make something that's going to work. So if you are struggling with the color palette, remember to focus on one or maximum two colors like we did on green and raspberry, and then add the last color as a contrast, and that you can use neutral color like white, silver or gold to pull it all together to show the details. And then in dimensional composition, it is going to work because you see the vibrant part of it. So I'm just drying for the last time and I'm checking if there are any questions. So just to show you, this was done on the light background. This is done on the dark background, but the colors are similar. Here I use the sea glass wax, and I use the acid wax, and I use the coral wax. Here we use the raspberry paint and lime green paint, and then a tiny bit of periwinkle. So it's different yet corresponding with each other. This was done on the wooden panel. There was no black. Here we started with the black. I'm happy you enjoyed. Just to compare to this one, this was done with less colors. That was lavender and powder pink. These were two colors from the sentimental set, as you can see. And then I used the burnt sienna together with that as well. There was ochre color going with that. Ochre is lighter brown, but probably it was, oh, you can see it on the dragonfly. I used the 3 here, but then I added the darker colors as well. So the trick with the white paint before liquid acrylics makes sense. Here we've got more like energetic dragonfly. Here we've got more romantic dragonfly. And the key is to have a little bit of sparkle and to pull it together using one color on the top and to work with a little bit of the shadows. This is very more like pastel and muted colors. Here we are into the vibrant ones. So I hope that was fun. So I was trying to show you ideas on how to use the colors like that together if you want to use more than 2, because putting 2 together is not that hard, but putting 3 together, completely different ones, it starts to be a challenge. But this is one of the options. Don't forget, you can share this video with your friends if they look for the inspiration. I will show you that in the different light as well, so you can see. Hello again. Okay. hope no drips. You can see how this is working in this light as well. My pleasure. I'm very happy you could join me. You can share the video everywhere you want. It's open for everybody. It's a free class. And all of you who like this kind of classes, if you like this kind of explanations, projects, or you would like to learn more on composition, you can consider joining my Patreon. For as little as €10 per month. You get one live class, one video class, and something on the top of that every month. And this is a subscription that gives you access to all the previous years as well. A lot of patrons is here today because, of course, they are also invited to the free classes. And the link is in the description. I really suggest checking that if you think about learning more mixed media, because the library of our classes is amazing and every month we make something new. So just to let you know that it is opt in and out anytime. So it's like Netflix. You just start the subscription and you have the access. And then when you need a break or you need to finish, you can do it anytime, even after 1 month. And there are so many archival live streams and videos waiting for you. And there are new coming every month. So there is quite a lot of mixed media content. So thank you so much for watching. It was a pleasure to have you here. Join me next month, because next month we are going to work with the Dreamy set. This is going to be probably my biggest challenge because it is so pastel. You can't imagine. So that will be also very fun. I prefer darker and stronger and more grungy projects, but Dreamy is going to be done as well. So I'm happy to have you all here. Share the live stream with everybody. The more the merrier. If you have crafty friends who may like it, please do that. See you next week in the UK, Sue. Absolutely. I can see some of my students for the next week are here already. Like Sam is here for sure. So we have a in-person date next week in the UK as well. Sue is the lovely person who is in charge of the classes. So thank you so much. Some of you, my patrons, I see you tomorrow. Tomorrow is the special session for VIPs and art buddies, so the higher tiers of patrons. We are making a makeover of the vintage camera, so it's going to be super fun as well. Check the Patreon if you are new to mixed media or if you like to learn more, because this is an amazing opportunity to learn and to do it in a very friendly, open-minded and supporting group of people. My patrons are absolutely the best of the best. They are just gems. Serdeczne podziękowania dla dziewczyn z Polski i panów z Polski, jeśli byli. Bardzo pozdrawiam, bardzo mi miło, wpadajcie do mnie częściej, bo mi tak będzie raźniej troszkę. Dziękuję bardzo. So guys, my dear patrons, thank you for joining. My dear friends, thank you for joining. And I hope I got you a little bit inspired. So see you very soon. This is juicy color set, raspberry, lime green with a touch of periwinkle on the top of the black background. Bye bye.